Wow, the first start of being on a stage was literally when I was about 5 years old, singing. That's how I got into the theater, actually, was singing.
You know, it's a typical story. Most people. I started in high school,
Same.
even junior high. I was doing a little bit here and there, and my brother was working on the sets and the lights and things, and small high school in upstate New York. And so I started doing that, working on those shows.
I stayed and helped dismantle cafeteria tables from from High School Musical, and then it still wasn't like 5:30 or whenever my mom would be there to pick me up.
Sure.
So I just stuck around, and they went. Most of the people left, and then a couple more people came, and they started to do a light hang, and I just like stuck around and I hung lights where people told me to do it, and
We had 20 line sets. I set up line sets. We had, lots of fixtures. We had a Hog 3. So I feel like I started in lighting like about 8, almost 9 years ago.
When I first started, literally I think the most cutting edge tool
Mm-hmm.
for lighting design was Lightright, because before that, all the paperwork was done by hand. Everything was done by hand. I have old lighting books that just everything is just handwritten out.
I was the first designer at Yale to be able to do a light plot all digital.
Mm.
Now I could not do it for class project because my teacher Jennifer Tipton said no. For the class projects, you will do hand drafting light plots.
Sure.
But for your shows that are going to be produced on one of the stages, feel free if you have the time and knowledge to create a digital light plot.
But then um, Lightright came about, and it allowed you to put the information in once and then spit it out in multiple formats.
Yeah, nobody was doing it. I mean,
Okay.
no one was really drafting anything by computer at the time. And to us, even Vectorworks at the time was called MiniCAD, and no one in our industry really ventured towards MiniCAD. And I think the big notion was that the idea of doing a lighting plot where you could edit it easily afterwards. I think that was
Or in tech,
a
yeah.
big catalyst for doing it. Like, oh my God, I have to erase all this because I screwed up these 20 lights. Well, on a computer, you can just simply delete them and add in new lights and move them around easily.
And that year, it was 2012, the Martin Mac Viper won Plaza's award for innovation. And it was setting the standard. And I didn't know this at the time, but it became the workhorse of the entire event industry, right? It is the primary fixture that people will spec in a rental. And yeah, that was the cutting edge piece of technology at the time. The Viper became the workhorse of the industry, but it is so ancient tech today. There
Really?
is no relevance at all to the Viper anymore. Like, if you're still using them, people are going to poke at you and call you grandpa.
I started, when I was in New York, started seeing more and more consoles, computer consoles showing up in venues. And I knew how to run some of them, so that actually helped propel me get some jobs programming. And that it happened. I went to New York, and one of the first gigs I worked at Lincoln Center because the Clark Theater got a brand new lighting console called the Obsession, and they didn't know what an Obsession console was. And
the like kind of math and science behind a lot of it was always what captured my interest. So
Sure.
I was really enamored with the Source 4
Yeah.
just itself for a number of years. I thought it was a huge improvement from like a 360Q and the different types of reflectors that have the different effects of light, and it's all just beautiful geometry is what lighting is.
Intelligent fixtures,
Yeah.
the whole idea of the new intelligent fixtures being able to communicate both directions to the lighting console to give it feedback. Now we can hang lights, get data to them, power them, put them up in the air, and then tell them what they're going to. We don't have to get to the fixture necessarily. So if you're in a position where you can just get it powered data, get it flown up in the air, you're done.
A lot of fixtures these days, moving and the more economy static fixtures, are totally networkable. That
Mhm.
have, RJ45 plugs and Ethernet con. There's actually it's like an XLR connector, but it has an Ethernet
Sure.
in there. Those are becoming really popular. And I think that with the innovation of RDM, making it possible to set all the fixture settings from the console, that's going to become huge. But on top of all of that happening, I personally have the theory that we're going to go wireless sooner rather than later.
Networking is really the gateway into all sorts of advanced and rigs that like talk to each other.
Yeah.
Sound cues that are fired by the automation operator because they can talk to each other.
That's crazy.
And so when you have like maybe it's the budget or the time frame or just your scope, maybe if you have only one console operator,
True.
they can fire off all sorts of lighting, sound, special effects, automation, effects. If you network and connect all of your rig together.
Technology, one in how it's controlled. It's very different now. A light fixture one light fixture can have like 64 different parameters on it.
Yeah.
So my only fear is that designers are going to get lazy because they have, well, just throw up 200 moving lights and I don't have to design. You literally just have to put the lights in the right locations, and then you don't have to worry about anything else. That's what concerns me, is that they're going to be like, I don't have to worry about color for this show. I don't have to worry about texture for this show.
Whenever that comes up in my head, I always think about, well, the art side of it, of being a designer. The first thing I think about as a designer happens to be the direction and angle we're coming in on. The angle of attack, as it's said. And whenever you have an all-moving light rig, frequently you're not placing those movers for a particular angle of attack, you're placing them so that they're in the most useful position. So even if we look at the economy of it, like the strict money and raw numbers, you're ignoring this, well, I wanted it to come from this direction. Someone once talked to me about the lighting industry dying out, like officially and permanently being gone, because it's going to get replaced by projections, it's going to get replaced by media. That there will come a day when there is a projector from every angle shooting at the stage, and then whenever you need a certain kind of light, you just color those pixels in Photoshop. Or you need a spotlight, you just make a little white circle in Photoshop and you program it to track them, and that's your spotlight. And I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. If anything, I think lighting rigs are going to get bigger, they're going to get denser. We're going to have bigger crews, and we're probably going to have more people needed to program it all and keep it all in check.
And one of the things that I was surprised to learn when I first heard about it, but now that I've thought about it, it makes more sense, is that they aren't putting in dimmer racks nearly as much anymore.
Yeah.
They are putting in constant power and relays almost everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we've got all these dinky little dimmer boxes that we've used, you know, outside in a tent, or like when you just straight up don't have enough dimmers for like these couple of practical, like those are, I predict that those will become our sources of dimming.
Yeah.
That we won't end up with the, you know, 3 96 racks that we have in each of our spaces here at Cranert. That it will take a turn for primarily LED fixtures, that because they have advanced so much in recent years, that I will never say that they are like on equal playing field. We will always have a need for conventional fixtures.
Sure.
But it will shift significantly from being the majority of a light plot to being the minority of a light plot.
I agree.
You know, and that's all getting better too. I mean, I won't be surprised at all if things are voice activated, much like Alexa. You know, where I will just sit at the tech table and say 1 through 5 at full, and 1 through 5 will come on at full. 1 through 5. That's the fun thing I like about lighting design, is that to me it's never boring, and it's never the same job over and over. Every new show is like a new job. I'm like, oh, cool, this is awesome. This is a new show. Even if I design the show like 6 times, you know, I'm not gonna